Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about how hospitals and Baker Act facilities use your past against you. So this is something I have seen on a pretty regular basis where somebody goes into a hospital and it could be for things like my medication doesn't work. I don't feel that great. I'm experiencing discomfort because of the medication, or I've had women that went in there and had a urinary tract infection and it made them, not feel so good, right? They were a little bit lightheaded and becoming a little delusional, and the hospital said, you're suicidal, right? I mean, silly, ridiculous stuff like that. But here's where things really can go sideways. So what happens is if the patient goes in there and they have health insurance, you already know, as I've said this before, you have a target on your back, because this is how these unscrupulous hospitals and facilities, this is how they line their pockets. This is the cash cow. And so if you've got health insurance, you're going to be a target. And so what happens is whoever's doing the triage, right? And it says to the patient, have you ever thought about harming yourself? Well, yeah, I mean, a couple of years ago, I was having a bad time. Something horrible happened to me. I was assaulted. This happened to me. I lost a parent, whatever it happens to be. And I did. I thought about harming myself. Well, were you suicidal? Yeah, I got to admit, I did think about that, right? And this may have happened last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Oh, sorry, got to Baker Act you. Well, hold on a second. The statute's pretty clear. You have to meet criteria at that time. Not what happened last year or 5 years ago or 10 years ago. I mean, really. Or, well, I was Baker Acted 2 years ago because I was suffering from severe anxiety. Oh, really? Okay, well, we need to keep you. And I see this, and it's very disturbing. First of all, your past is completely irrelevant, or it should be completely irrelevant when it comes to the decision as to whether or not to detain you. The second thing is you always, always, always have an absolute right to remain silent. Okay, and my recommendation is if you go into a hospital and they start asking you about your mental health, okay, unless you're actually there to get help because you are feeling like you might harm yourself, because that's a different story and we want you to get help for that. But if the hospital, if the nurse, the doctor is just on a fishing expedition to find a reason to put it in the file to keep you because you have health insurance, my recommendation is you keep your mouth shut and say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to discuss what has happened in the past. I'm simply not going to do it. Now, do I think the hospital will still detain you? They might. They just might still keep you. Because remember, nobody knows you're there. You can't sue them for this stuff. And as a general rule, these unscrupulous hospital facilities simply don't care about violating your rights. But my recommendation is you tell them, I'm not going to discuss my past. If you want to talk about what happened now, why I'm here, happy to do so. But I do not think you should be discussing your past. It's completely irrelevant. Now, obviously, if they detain you, which they still could, at least there's not some documentation in the file that said in the past, this happened, that happened, I had these feelings, I did this. It's not there in the file, right? We don't want anything to be used against you that happened in the past. Nobody should have their past, used against them. But in the statute, it's very clear. If the criteria are not present at that time, you shouldn't be detained. And at least, at the very least, it gives us a better argument to make to a judge. Because inevitably, if they're going to keep you, we're going to have to fight to get you out. But at least we have ammunition now. Now, obviously, if you've given them that information, we'll deal with it. I mean, we will, right? Not a problem, but I'm just telling you, it's my counsel, you should keep your mouth shut about that stuff, because you have a right to. You have a constitutional right to remain silent, always, and you should do that. So just my 2 cents on this issue. It keeps coming up. It really rubs me the wrong way that hospitals are doing this. It's just an excuse to keep people and tap their insurance. So anyway, I appreciate you tuning in. I would love a thumbs up and a subscription to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.